Meanwhile, as the nation grapples with the loss of the former leader, signs of grief have begun to emerge beyond Nigeria's shores. Prominent Nigerian dignitaries have begun arriving at the London hospital where former President Buhari died. The channel's television's crew stationed in the UK captured the emotional scene outside the London clinic, specifically the Datchet Devonshire wing, where family members, political associates and long-term allies are gathering. Among those spotted were former heads of state, General Abdulsalami Abubakar, former Imo State Governor Rochas Okorocha, both of whom were seen arriving in solemn reflection. Our correspondent there, Juliana Olainka, has more.
Well, good evening from just outside the London clinic here at the corner of Marylebone Road in central London, where Nigeria's former president, Muhammadu Buhari, aged 82, passed away this afternoon at approximately 4:30 p.m. BST. This is after a prolonged illness. It is a profoundly sad day for Nigeria, a moment of collective mourning. In recent weeks, persistent rumors online suggested that the former military ruler was unwell, and sadly today, those rumors have now been confirmed. The nation acknowledges the loss of a powerful, if not polarizing figure, a statesman whom I personally closely studied for 8 successive years. Now, this clinic, known for serving high-profile patients, including His Majesty King Charles III and the late Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh, is situated in one of the capital's most prestigious medical districts, just steps away from Harley Street. I think the location alone underscores the seriousness of the prolonged treatment that the former president was receiving. Now, in the coming hours, according to my sources, Femi Gbajabiamila, Chief of Staff to President Bola Tinubu, is expected to arrive in London. Now, his mission, of course, will be to assist the family with support and oversee preparations to bring the president home to Nigeria under official state protocol. Now, I think it's obvious that the magnitude of this moment cannot be overstated. Buhari was a defining presence in Nigerian life, first as a head of military regime in the 1980s, then later becoming the first president to defeat an incumbent in a democratic, historic election in 2015. Now, his tenure inspired admiration for his anti-corruption stance and discipline here in the UK, yet it also drew criticism amid economic challenges and security threats. Now, today, of course, those debates will be paused because a nation reflects on a life both revered and contested. For now, from here on Devonshire Place, a somber London sky mirrors the sadness that is felt across continents. Here at the London Bureau, Channels TV will stay on site for developments, including the arrival of the Vice President, His Excellency Kashim Shettima, official statements from the family, funeral arrangements, and further insights from the VIP delegation. Juliana Olainka reporting for Channels TV News in central London.
Meanwhile, former President Olusegun Obasanjo has also described as a great loss the demise of former President Muhammadu Buhari today. He described him as a patriot, a statesman who has tried his best, contributed immensely to the socio-economic and political development of Nigeria. While asking God to repose his soul, he says the former president will be greatly missed by families and friends.
He tried his best. My prayer is that God will forgive him of his inadequacies and accept him into his kingdom. It's a loss to the nation, because at a time like this, we need the totality of the experience and what I may call statesmanship of all those who have had the opportunity to run the affairs of this country in the past to get us out of the situation we are in. He will be sorely missed, and may his soul rest in perfect peace.
Meanwhile, the governor of Katsina State, Malam Dikko has expressed deep grief over the death of former President Muhammadu Buhari, who died today in London at 4:30 p.m. following a prolonged illness. Governor Rada says that Nigeria has lost a patriot, and Katsina has also lost its most illustrious son, and that he has lost the father figure whose footsteps he had endeavored to follow. The governor adds that former President Buhari was not just a leader, he was the embodiment of the common man's aspiration, and that his people-oriented programs and genuine love for the masses defined his leadership philosophy. The governor also says that his legacy transcends political affiliations, describing him as a leader who consistently championed the cause of ordinary Nigerians throughout his distinguished career. And for more on a background check on former President Muhammadu Buhari, who died today, our correspondent at the State House, Larry Lasisi, has more.
And that I will preserve, protect.
President Muhammadu Buhari, at his inauguration as the 15th President of Nigeria on May the 29th, 2015, addressing the country, he voiced these iconic words.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
The bright colors of that day speak to a journey that started many years before. Born in Daura, Katsina State in 1942, where he schooled before joining the Nigerian army, he rose swiftly through the ranks, fighting in the Civil War and playing an active part in several coups that marked the life of the young country. He also served as governor of the northeastern state and later of Borno State. In late 1983, he took over as the military head of state from a civilian government, promising to rescue a nation drowning in corruption and economic chaos. His regime stood out for the war against indiscipline policy that was enforced across the country. He was, however, overthrown in 1985 by another coup led by Major General Ibrahim Babangida. The former head of state later served as chairman of the Petroleum Trust Fund, PTF. From 2003, he ran for the office of president 3 times, failing consistently. For the 2015 presidential elections, working with a coalition, his persistence paid off and he became the first opposition candidate to defeat an incumbent president in Nigeria. He went on to serve for 8 years. His tenure was marked with challenges from insurgents, farmer-herder violence, and economic hardship. The tenure, however, stood out for its foreign policy and regional leadership, agricultural reforms, infrastructure development, and its anti-corruption drive. President Buhari served till 2003, handing over to President Bola Tinubu. He remained relevant politically, receiving visitors and politicians in his residence in Daura, Katsina State. His last public engagement was when he received in Daura former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, former Kaduna State Governor Nasser El-Rufai, among others. President Muhammadu Buhari, the soldier who became a politician, the president, and a statesman. Lanre Lasisi, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, the former governor of Akwa Ibom State, Obong Victor Atta, has described former President Muhammadu Buhari as a principled leader who he admired his work in his days as consultant at the Petroleum Trust Fund. He adds that he will be remembered for his fight against drug abuse and usage.
Let me tell you one incident that I remember very strongly about Buhari. That was his fight against drug abuse. People tend to forget it. He was accused of retroactive application of a law, which led to the execution of those drug peddlers who had been caught before the law was made. But quite honestly, seeing what's happening today with the drug infiltration into the country, the youth are now being accused, or not just being accused, are suffering the effects of drug abuse and substance abuse. I think if Buhari had a chance, probably this would not have been the case today. The president is giving him the right kind of honor. This is not because they were of the same party, I want to hope, but because he was a president, and a president that did his best to save the country, at least keep this country one. I know that Buhari, like was said earlier by some of those that have spoken about him,